Hank here with my thoughts on Fifine's Tank6 USB and XLR microphone. The Tank6 would definitely work for somebody that wants more of that broadcast style microphone instead of like a stage mic style like the Tank 2. Full disclosure, Fifine sent the Tank6 over to me for the purpose of this review. Here's what's included when you buy the microphone. You get a USB-C to USB-C cable, a USB-C female to USB-A male adapter. You get a 3/8 inch to 5/8 inch threaded adapter, but we'll come back to that later. And of course, you get the trusty user manual. At the time of this recording, the suggested retail price of Fifine's Tank6 is $162.99 in the United States. However, I haven't even seen it for that price. It has been selling for much less. When it comes to the build of the Tank6, it is a literal tank. It is much bigger than the previous Tank 3 microphone that they had, which was well constructed on its own. This is even bigger and better. The solid build is due to the all-metal construction of the body of the microphone. And for the first time that I can recall on any review I've done, the knobs on the microphone have a zero wobble. When it comes to the layout, the top of the microphone has a mute button, which turns red when muted, and it is green when active. Underneath, you have two knobs, one for gain in USB mode, and the other for the 3.5mm headphone jack volume. The back of the microphone has a USB-C port, an XLR port, and the 3.5mm headphone jack. When it comes to specs, Fifine's Tank6 is a dynamic USB and XLR microphone. It has a cardioid polar pattern, a frequency response of 100 Hz to 18 kHz, a sensitivity of -54 plus or minus 3 dBV. If you see another stat in the manual or online for that, please don't worry. It's a mistake. This is the correct sensitivity. In USB mode, the sample rate goes up to 192 kilohertz, and you can choose between 16 or 24-bit. I'm going to turn straight into the microphone. I'm approximately 6 inches away from the front of the microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now I'm going to lean in, get about 3 inches away from the microphone. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I'm going to turn the microphone just a little bit over so it's straight on here. And then I'm going to dart over to the side about 2 feet. And this is what you would pick up. If you were roughly a couple of feet away from the side of the microphone, this is what you would pick up. Now I'm going to go behind the microphone 2 feet. 2 feet from the back of the microphone, here's what you pick up. Now I'm going to insert a sample of the microphone in USB mode, just so you can hear side by side XLR mode, then USB mode, then we'll go back to XLR mode. Hank here in USB mode on the Tank6, and this is what it sounds like in comparison to XLR mode. How do you like this sound? I'm going to engage the mute button to see if we get an audible click when engaged or when disengaged. So here we go. Now I'm back unmuted. I'm going to mute again. All right, seems to be a slight audible click in the waveform. That could be because the body's moving a little bit when I'm pressing the button. Definitely doesn't sound like a huge deal at all to me, but it's just something to keep in mind that you will get just a little bit of a click in there when you engage that mute button. Seems pretty standard for most USB microphones with a mute button, a physical mute button, and not a capacitive button for muting. This concludes my USB test back in XLR mode, and this is what the microphone sounds like in that mode. What do you think? Does USB mode sound exactly the same, a little better, or a little worse? Chime in the comments down below. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel for product reviews, previews, up-to-date news, and more. When it comes to the pros, at the very top of the list is the build quality. Fifine, since day one, technically, have really done a great job of making solid, well-constructed microphones I still have both of those K669 microphones, and they have worked for me for years and years and years. So well constructed, and the Tank series has been no different. I did forget to mention the knobs of the microphone, but they're plastic like most other microphones in this category. The knobs are plastic, but it does not detract from the overall aesthetic of the microphone, in my opinion. Another pro would be the accessories. Not only do you get a usable USB-C cable that is over 8 feet long, which other companies have been doling out those little tiny short-run USB-C cables, which are just unusable. So that's cool. But they included another 5/8 inch to 3/8 inch adapter, and you have the threading inside of the microphone in there, so you don't have to worry about using it for this. But if you want to keep throwing them into a coffee jar like I do, then you get an extra one of those. Another pro, of course, is the versatility. You can plug this directly into your computer, or you can use it with an audio interface in XLR mode. Another pro, I like the sound quality it delivers. I was skeptical when I read the specs before it ever even arrived. With this particular frequency response, I thought I would notice a more pronounced low-end cut, but I do not. I like the sound of the microphone, but definitely chime in the comments. What do you think about the sound? Another pro, I think the Tank series has the plosive protection figured out. You don't want to cover a microphone that looks this good up with a ugly windscreen. So it is refreshing and great to run microphones without using a windscreen or pop filter. Another pro is having the two knobs for controlling headphones and gain. So on the Tank 2, you just had this one dial knob that was interfacing with the computer. I like the positioning of the knobs better being underneath and kind of out of view. That's just my personal opinion. You can let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. On the cons front, you are going to notice that once again, when you tap into the body a little bit, you get that resonance coming out of it. I mean, honestly, if you tap on any mic, you're going to get something coming back on it because it's going to pick it up. But you can kind of hear that. And tying into that, when you hit the mute button, you do get just a little bit of body noise if you're not careful. So that can come through. Nitpick wise, I think some people are going to either love or hate the buttons being underneath and not on the side. So on the Tank 3, you had the buttons on the side here. I like it personally because once I get them set, I don't want to accidentally bump them. If I'm tightening something, if I'm moving something, I don't want to accidentally manipulate those knobs at all. So I personally like it. I'm sure somebody's going to jump in the comments and say they dislike the knobs being underneath because they can't fiddle with them. After reviewing the Tank 2, I really fell in love with this microphone. But now it's all about the Tank 6. Just from top to bottom, this is really a well-constructed, high-quality microphone. But what do you think when it comes to the sound quality, when it comes to the look, the build, the functionality? Chime in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you.